So today is Thursday, March 5th, 2026, and this is episode 2 of the Building Hour. Today I want to do a base review of the Rat's Keep. The Rat's Keep is a really cool base that I just saw on YouTube this morning, in fact, and looking at some of the video, it seems really cool. It's a solo base. The builder mentioned that it's designed for online or offline raids. I think it's more suited towards online raids. I think it's got some weaknesses you can exploit in raid path if you were trying to use this as an offline raid base. But I want to use this as an opportunity to look at how, depending on how you design your base or lay it out, you can incorporate some inefficiencies into a design or make it no longer serve the intended purpose in some cases. But overall, this base is really cool. And when I saw it, I was like, oh, that's awesome. I want to look more at that. So we are looking at this base today. You can actually see it right behind me. I've got it loaded up on Builder Sanctuary. That's one of my favorite features about this server is I can just type in a build code and get right to a base. And so, yeah, just to rephrase what I mentioned, this is a base is intended as a solo base. I think it can operate as a solo or duo base. The build cost is 60,000 or 60k stone, 85k metal, and 700 high quality metal, which is actually more expensive than the Gram, which is my trio base. And so I'm going to keep that in the back of my mind. This base, they advertised it as having a shield wall, which we can see right there. I'll explain what that is if you're unfamiliar. Just from out here, we can see that there are wide gaps and some turret pods, and it looks like there are 4 external TCs. So for a solo base, I think there's some things that are overkill that I can see already. But in terms of online raid capabilities, this is from this view that I'm getting right here, this is probably one of the best things you could possibly build for an online raid. So, and it seems like the guy who designed this base is a 11,000 hour PvPer. And so they do have some clips of them defending raids from this. They don't have any of the long form parts, but I imagine maybe some of their other videos had it. But yeah, this base seems really good for online raids, and we'll see if it holds up in offline raids, because it's a little on the pricey side, I think, for a solo. But we'll start out here, and already I was really excited to see this. So if you don't know what this external is, as far as I can tell, I don't know this for certain, but I think they went with my external TC design, so they get brownie points already. But my first ever video was on an external TC that uses this roof disconnect so that it can be disconnectable. You break this twig and the socket of this roof no longer connects to this twig, and now you've disconnected from the main TC. And why does that matter? Well, it means that if your main TC gets destroyed, all you have to do is break that twig, replace the main TC, and then put the twig back, and then that's very simple. If you don't have a disconnectable, which I don't always include in my builds because I so rarely have to use them, you have to break all of your external TCs with Molotovs or shotgun, whatever, and then you can replace the main TC, which if you're by yourself is a little sketchy, because if anyone comes by while you're doing that, they can place their own TC and now your base is theirs. So it's nice to have disconnectable, but since I play duo or trio, I personally would just wait for one of them to get online, and we would do that as a pair. But yeah, so this is pretty cool. So it's disconnectable. The downside of this is somebody can soft side this roof, and so you really, if you don't want anyone to get access to it, you're going to want to armor that. Now, one critique I have immediately is this is way overbuilt. Because, at least right now, what somebody could do is you could just raid this right here for 4 rockets and disconnect this. So, like, if I rocket gun, Oh, hold on. Is our rockets not working right now? Okay, that's weird. Rockets don't seem to be working that well, but just take my word for it. If you do this, we are now disconnected. And so the problem with armoring up your externals like this is that the weakest part of the link between your external and the base can just be destroyed by a raider. And so if any of it is soft-sidable, like right here, this doesn't actually connect. You would have to build another one like this. And so if somebody soft-sides this, if somebody soft-sides this, if somebody just 4 rocket raids right here, then they can just disconnect your external for 4 rockets when you thought that you had a like 16 rocket raid. The other issue I have with this is, yeah, over here they put their TC. They use this. They use 3 half walls and then a roof. And a much better way of doing this, that's way cheaper, is to just use 3. Let me get this placed. Just use 3 roofs like that, because if you look at the cost, it's 150 stone, because all we need is 3 more rockets, because in an optimally built external, like let's say it's like this is the design I use a lot, and then this is a freehand. I'm not going to bother with the freehand right now, but say there's a freehand there. If we upgrade everything to sheet metal, 7 rocket raid with a little of change. Now, if we want to turn it into a 12 rocket raid, or 11, because you could just go through the window that you'll place on the inside, we want to add honeycombing here, and we just want to leave that stone. We don't want to armor it, or sorry, put metal. And then over the top, we just add these 3 roofs, because they're only 150 each, instead of, if we look at this wall, it's 300 each. So to do what they did with like the 3 half walls, that would cost you, in stone, it would be over 1,000 stone, when this is just 450. So it's less than half the cost. So you definitely want to do this instead if you can. The other thing I noticed, they went with what's it called? The shipping container. And you want to be careful with shipping container, because the model of shipping container, they seem to have done the placement very well, so there's no exposed gaps. But you have to be very careful with using the shipping container, because it can leave gaps. Oh, I see. That might be why they added this extra honeycombing. But yeah, it can leave gaps that are larger than normal sheet metal or stone. And so you want to be careful using. I love how it looks, but you have to be really careful using it, because you can just leave gaps. But yeah, so if you're ever building a roof over your TC, don't build it like this, because that's expensive. Build it instead like build it like that instead. You will it is equivalent in protection, and it is less than half the cost, and reduces your entity count by 1. And if you do enough things throughout your base to reduce the entity count by 1 here, another by here, you could make a difference of 10, and that makes a big deal in upkeep over a long wipe. Okay, so I kind of destroyed that side of the base. Do I have symmetry on? I think I have symmetry on. I'm going to make sure it's off. Okay, because I don't remember breaking this side, but as far as I could tell, that is all that they had, and so, yeah, oh yeah, it looks like my symmetry was on, even though it shouldn't have been, but, yeah, so, I'm gonna reload this really quick. Yeah, so I want to start heading into the base and looking at the compound next. And so they go with a single door airlock at the front, which I think is totally great for a solo. They've got a bed respawn, love the Willjum skin. And they've got these like upward angle peaks, and they've got some outwards angle peaks. So Yeah, this is a fantastic angle. This is really well designed, right there. Um, this is interesting. I've never seen someone use the squares like this before in a gatehouse. I'm sure a lot of larger bases have this. I've never seen this on a solo base, and it seems really interesting. Um, yeah, I could see now, like, I don't love the fact that a raider could just post up right here, and when you respawn, they could, just take you out. And so I personally wouldn't go with that. I would want something... Honestly, I would just want to close this in. I guess you can't fully close that in, but I mean, that's about as closed in as it needs to be. Yeah, you could even put like a planter box there, but yeah, I don't love the idea of somebody being able to kill me as I respawn, especially if this is intended as a solo. It would only take one raider over there and one raider over here to make it so you can't use those bedrooms at all. Yes, White Berserk had a question. Do deployables count as entities to calculate the upkeep? The answer is yes, if they socket into a base. And so things like windows, embrasures, doors, those all count. And so anytime you put a window or a door into your base, you have to consider it as two entities instead of one. And so it's not just but things like walls or these barricades, they don't count towards the entity count. Actually, I don't know if chain link counts. I think chain link counts. I'm almost certain that it does, but I haven't checked. But yeah, so you have to be careful with that, because if you're riding the line or like you want to really optimize for upkeep, don't add a bunch of windows and stuff and then like double deployable. Like, don't add window bars and shutters and embrasures, or, just like use the least amount of things that you need to do what you need with them if you're trying to optimize. But yeah, so looking at this, it's kind of a lot of walls, like 1, 2, 3, 4. So, oh, sorry, 5 for each side. So you need 20 walls. So that's really kind of expensive for a solo to farm for, I think. But it lets you do something really cool, which is this massive shield wall that they have. And shield walls are awesome. They're different than sea walls. Sea walls are the type of compound that are like these elevated these elevated foundations, and raiders can't jump over them, and you can combine them with furnaces, and it makes it hard for players to get in. A shield wall is kind of like a modern day China wall, and it's completely made out of construction, and players can't get through it. And it forces raiders to blow an additional layer of your base before being able to shoot down on your core. Oh boy, it is a single wall into core. Okay, we will talk about that shortly. Because I don't think that is optimal, personally. But yeah, raiders could just ladder over. It's often prevented by using turrets throughout the inside of the shield wall, but no turret is immune to being shot out, and so that's something to be careful of. So, yeah, this shield wall is cool. Shield walls are just cool in general, because if you're getting online raided, you can like spam these walls up and then add them. And now if raiders were trying to pummel, or if they were like shooting from a raid base up here towards your core, you're now protected. And so when designing a shield wall, you want to make sure that there's like this continuous ring of walls that you can place around. And this is a really fantastic shield wall. Really compact. I really like this shield wall. So things the space has done well is the compound design is fantastic for an online raid. Although I don't know if I love these ramps, because raiders can camp it, and they've way, way overbuilt this when you can just raid right here and disconnect the TC for a lot cheaper than I think the base designer intended. And so moving into the compound, there's some really good peaks. Yeah, you got some nice head protected peaks. Yeah, even more angles. This is the most angles I've ever seen in a compound, and they're just awesome. You can open these up, and you've got some more. This is mostly just for visibility, I imagine. You spot somebody and then jump over. Now, I wouldn't recommend building this base if you're not an 11,000 hour PvP Chad, because the mobility is... Like if you're in a raid defense scenario and you're a new player, you're just going to get your head stuck and not be able to make these jumps. Like, I'm definitely not the best at mobility, but if I'm panicking, I would struggle at some of these jumps. Like, going from down there is hard, so you want to kind of go over and down. But if you don't think to go over and down and you try to... I guess you can crouch jump that. So the mobility in this compound is good enough. And I like that they've used chain link to section this off. And so heading into the base, is this 2 or 4-sided symmetrical? Okay, it's 2-sided symmetrical. Something I saw in the... I want to go over and see if it's over here. So something I saw in the build video that really concerned me was this. So, what is behind here, you might ask? Well, this is where we get the twig for the stair bunker. And so in this base, they talk about how the TC is stair bunkered, and I just want to point out that there is a 50-50 chance that this bunker does nothing and doesn't contribute anything to the raid cost. And so right here, if a raider goes through these 2 doors, so, 1 rocket, 2 rocket, they might see that there is a window back there. I mean, I know I'm definitely blowing into this because I see drop boxes. And once you see that window and you see the twig, immediately I'm going to think, oh, that's a stair bunker. I mean, I'm a builder, so of course I'm going to think that, but any Rust player with enough experience will know that there's something. Oh, shh. I don't know what I just broke, but I turned off the rocket gun. But so you can just shoot that out, and now you have no bunker to your core, and now your door path is, like, so ridiculously cheap for this size of base. And so, like, we could go, if we're going through doors, we can go 1, 2, 3 doors, 4, 5, break this window so we're at 9 rockets. Let's assume these are garage doors, so we're at 9, so 12, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, and 28 rockets. Maybe 31, but, like, that's including through the compound. A lot of people just ladder in, because you could just, like, Molotov this and ladder over, so we're at, like, 27 to 30 rockets to fully door raid into the core, which means they have everything in here. In this base, like I don't think anyone's going to go for the TC because they have 4 external TCs in a solo base design. So, like, personally, I don't think there's ever going to be enough loot in a base like this to warrant breaking all 4 externals or disconnecting. Now, if they built them like this, where they left this gatehouse stone, I mean, like, at least you've got to upgrade one side of that so that it can't be rocketed out. But if I see it stone, yeah, I might spend the 16 rockets, but combine that with a vending machine bunker. I'm never taking the TC, but you're not raiding a solo to get their TC when you see 4 externals. So yeah, this base is only 30 rockets to get literally all of the main loot, which, like, personally, for the cost of this base, this is more expensive. It's like 20% more expensive than the Gram, and it's like only 60% of the offline raid. So I think it's hard to get a stair bunker into a 1x1 footprint. Like, this is the only way you can get a stair bunker into a 1x1 footprint. So, like, I get why they did it. It just, there's a 50-50 chance a raider will just blow that open. Now, I love this right here. This looks so cool. The part I don't love about it, once again, is you're a single rocket, or sorry, a single wall to being blown open. And so that's just a constant issue. What's it called? Yeah, sorry, I just got distracted. I saw a pop-up about like the auto mod banning a spammer. Yeah, Wiped Zerg's mentioning, yeah, having no bunkers, there's no reason to blow those externals unless you want to tower up next to the main. Yeah, so this base doesn't have any, like, roof bunkers on the inside of the base, and so there's really, like, zero benefit to getting the externals, so I don't think you even need to vending machine bunker the TC. I mean, if you're putting it into a triangle, you always want to, but yeah, so another issue is somebody could splash right here, and they can destroy both the shield wall and these walls, and so they're going to get access into, let's see what's down here. Okay, so I guess on this side they would just get access to this loot room in the second floor. They wouldn't get directly into the core. Same over here. And so I guess all these main loot rooms, the big concern I have with them is they're only a single wall, and so you have to armor a lot of your base. I personally don't like spending 700 high quality metal in any base, like even a trio or more base, because I don't get that much high quality metal. I'm not able to run oil rig and tier 3 monuments regularly. But then again, like, if you have 11,000 hours, it's probably really easy to get that much high quality metal. But I think for most players out there, you can't reliably have any armor on the exterior of your base, and so I would just consider these to be a single sheet wall from being raided, and so I would be hesitant to put all of my loot right there. And the other problem is, all of the loot in this base is contained in this, like, one little path. So because we have our two big loot rooms, and then we have our main core loot room. And so if somebody's blowing from the side, they can just, blow right here. All of that would break. And then they could just, blow one more time. And now they have almost all of the loot in the base for like 30 rockets. So I would be very nervous if this was my base and that's where all of my loot was. And now here is the really exciting part about the base, is all of the peaks and the bedrooms and everything they've come up with. Like, the strength to this base, I'm just going to reload it so that everything I broke is fine. You can tell that this base was built by a PvP expert because, like, the peak and bedroom design is just so good. If you find raiders, like if you're able to catch an online raid with this base, I don't see how you could lose it. Because it's got a bedroom right in the center here. This is really, really safe. This bedroom will almost never get raided. In fact, and then there's another one right above it. And so you've got retake up onto your roof. You've got another retake on the roof from the center. From here, you have retakes into your shooting floor. And so you can keep control of your shooting floor. You can shoot back into your second floor. This is really awesome. I wish you could shoot rockets out of a rocket launcher on Builder Sanctuary, because I don't think you can shoot through this chain part with a rocket, but you can shoot guns. I don't know if anyone can correct me Are you able to shoot rockets through these? But for an online raid defense, like, you're never going to lose control of your base from these bedrooms up here. And these peaks are just, these are crazy. You can combine them with those lower peaks. If you take the windows out or like shoot through there, raiders are never getting in. We've got double Patrico angles. If anyone's unfamiliar with, okay, you can shoot rockets. Yeah, so this is kind of a sketchy thing to have for offline raid. So a really dedicated raider, like personally, you could shoot 4 rockets right here, get through that. One more actually, you don't even need a rocket because you have to leave this open. It doesn't look like the base owner put any doors up here, probably to minimize cost. So you could just 3 rockets, get through that window, come over here, and then you could splash rockets right here. And so for 19 rockets, you could get pretty much the entire base. And so once again, I don't like to always consider the cheapest raid cost and assume somebody will find the weakness in your base if you have one. And a lot of online raid bases always have one of these paths you can exploit like that, where if you know the layout of the base, or you can assume the layout of the base, like, realistically, nobody would raid this way, but you could just, you know, raid through this window. And in fact, it's not too hard to get to, so it might even be tempting. If you see that there's a bedroom here, you might want to check for kits, and then you would see, oh my gosh, wow, I can see right into the 2nd floor of the base. I can just start splashing these foundations with rockets, and you would simultaneously get access to, you know, the core here, but you would also splash open that garage door, and so you would have 75% of the loot in the base for 19 rockets, which, a little scary. But, wow, these peaks are awesome. I really want to add, I want to put this little module right here. So it's a wide gap with breach peaks down on the bottom using triangles, and then, let's see, it's got half-height floors with Patricos. You can get 2 of them. I don't see... Oh, I guess you could put loot there, but if you're not using that as loot storage, I wouldn't go with the covered design. I would go with something like this. Because these, while they cost the same... Actually, no, they cost half. Yeah. So this costs half as much as the full ones, and unless somebody's building a very tall raid base, you'll be fine. And alternatively, since it looks like they've gone with windows here, you don't actually need good sight lines. So you could just use double roofs, and this is the same cost as those low walls. It lets you still put a little bit of loot here. You can't fit a barrel, but you can still fit small boxes there. And that's a lot cheaper. And the only reason you might not want to do that is if you're using this as a downwards angle right outside. Because if you cover up, like say you're putting the roofs here, and this is one of your angles, you're going to block a little bit of the angle. I don't think it's that big of a deal, so I definitely prefer using these roofs over going with half walls. Because 75, 300, 600, so 675 versus 300 stone, huge difference in cost. And definitely don't upgrade those to metal, because they're not providing any raid protection to your base. And, you know, this compartment's only protected by a single door. Like, a raider who has access to your shooting floor can just get access to this module for a single rocket. And so any of the loot in here is not super secure. So yeah, just upgrade it to stone. It doesn't need to be anything more. And use the roofs instead of this. And if you're really worried about the sight lines for like peaks right above it, go with these. Yeah, just go with those low walls. But yeah, so this bedroom's awesome. I never can... I don't know if I prefer having a third Patrico angle out the front. So in the Graham, my bedroom, I designed it so that it's actually got three angles, kind of like this. Actually, ooh, this is a really awesome angle. I wonder if this is the one that Wipe Zerg was talking about earlier when he mentioned, like the, oh no, not, these are not the roof into single door jumps, but this is an awesome angle. I am absolutely using this in a base in the future. You can see straight down. Wow, that is really cool. And I can imagine you can just drop grenades through there. You can shoot almost right outside. Can you shoot through that gap? Okay, so you can't actually shoot through that gap. So it's just a visual gap, not an actual one you can shoot through. But you can shoot through there. And this gives you really good visibility. But sorry, what I was going on a few seconds ago is sometimes I really like having a forward angle. Let me get the embrasure. I really like having this forward angle so that I can directly peek onto my external or right onto my gatehouse, check for any campers. The only downside to this is a raider posted up here could shoot you if you're not head protected, so you absolutely have to fully head protect either with this roof configuration or with the full seal like this. But if you have a peak like this, I don't think you necessarily need to have this forward angle, and it can get expensive to just keep adding Patrico angles, but frankly, I don't see any reason for this player to not go with this design right here, where you've got a nice tight angle that you can play from in the forward direction. Because you already have these, and so you're not fully sealed into this bedroom. I think you can make this bedroom even better by using this Brutalist. Doesn't even need to be Brutalist, it just can't be stone. Actually, it can be stone, it looks like. Oh, that's why. Sometimes you run into a visual bug if you go with the stone, and so if you go with Brutalist, you don't run into that visual bug at all, and if you upgrade it to sheet metal, you also don't run into the visual bug. So just avoid stone if you're going to go with this frame version. And then if you want better head protection, you can go with the triangle grill, and it actually will let you place a box up here. If I go with box, you can't get a full barrel when you do it this way, but you're supposed to be able to get a box. You might not be able to with the angles, but I wonder if I take this off, if I can do it. Okay, so I guess you can't. Oh yeah, it's only if you have one side. So if you do the double roof triangle, you can't put a box there with the grill layout. If you go with a floor, I believe you can. Let's see. I'm pretty sure you can do this. Yeah, so if you go with the actual floor, you can get a box there. And so you can have some extra storage. And this is a much more open peak if you go with the floor instead of the frame. But yeah, so I think if I was building this, I would want this frontwards peak. And it just makes the base a little bit more menacing too. And so, yeah, I would switch those over to that. I would definitely add that to the front angle. I would probably not go with as beefy. I would just break all of this. And if I really wanted to keep this to 12 rocket raid, I would do that. I'm not going to bother armoring that. I don't think it makes any sense to armor. And so, and then, I would keep these, but I would just leave it stone. Stone is so cheap that there's no reason not to, you have to place that before you put those roofs. That's one thing to keep in mind. I think if you use Brutalist, yeah, if you use Brutalist, you can do so many cheap things. So if you're ever having an issue with things not being able to place because you've got weird connection issues with the roofs, just go buy the Brutalist DLC and upgrade it to Brutalist, and you'll be able to fix whatever it is you messed up. Pay to win. But I am a builder, so I am not immune to the pay-to-win opportunities. But yeah, so I would just leave that stone. I don't know. If you're going with this disconnectable design, I don't see any reason to even honeycomb it. Because there's just so many ways they can disconnect it. If you don't upgrade this entire thing to armored, like, all the way through, it's just always cheaper to shoot out some part of this. That's why I really like the versions that, you know, you connect back, something like that, you know, whatever. Because one, they're kind of hard to shoot out with rockets, and two, you can't soft side them at all. And so, yeah, just leave this that. You don't need to make it any stronger than that. I think the compound is fantastic. I love this compound. There's so much I need to learn in designing compounds because this shield wall is awesome. Ooh, these peaks are nice. Oh yeah, so like, this is really cool. You've got this wide gap angle where you can retake compound. Once again, so many of the bedrooms are so exposed. I guess the center ones are really protected. You don't need this to be super protected, but I would feel uncomfortable leaving good kits in here. I would just want to leave, like, cheap SMGs or shotguns. Yeah, there's just so many cool angles in this base. I would love... So, my goal is to figure out how to take some of these peaks that are, like, everyone knows how to use in online raid defense bases, and take the ones that aren't exploitable and add them to offline bases, because then we get the best of both worlds, where you have a base that has no cheap exploit path. So that's kind of how I define an offline raid base, is there's no cheap path that you can exploit to get all of the main loot, versus an online raid base where generally it's expensive to raid if you're just blowing from the side, but if you're able to, like, if you have the opportunity to explore the base while the owner is asleep, you can find a really cheap path to get everything from them. That's kind of how I define the difference. I don't think that just the peaks determine if it's an online or offline raid base, because especially now that like Petrico peaks are becoming so common, and like wide gapping in bedrooms, I don't think those automatically signal an online raid base. I think it's more online raid bases make the trade-off to use more peaks and internal retakes at the expense of opening up cheap raid paths. And so I think that's just something to consider. Like, are you willing to wake up at 4 a.m. when your Rust Plus notification goes off? Or will it distract you while you're at work if you know your base can be raided really cheaply and, you know, you get that notification somebody's knocking on your door? So, and then up on the roof, I guess a downside of this is you can't really land a helicopter at all. But then again, an upside of this is you can't land a helicopter at all. So you don't have to worry about, you know, a clan top downing you. But then again, I can't remember the last time I saw a top down raid. Honestly, this is a really cozy layout. I like it. This being so close to the outside, I find fairly concerning. I would want a longer door path protecting my stair bunker. But, you know, you have a 50% chance that it works out for you if someone goes through doors. But only a 50% chance. And then, yeah, just, I would cover up these with the roofs instead of even these. Unless you're trying to fit loot into those, I would just around the board use that instead, because this base is already overpriced for a solo, in my opinion. It's far too expensive. And if you're doing this, like, that's almost 500 metal just for a peak, when you could have the exact same functionality for 300 stone. And so I don't see why you would spend 500 metal when you could just spend 300 stone. And so yeah, I would just use this instead, especially since it doesn't seem like there's any peaks that will be impeded too much. Like, that would obscure some visibility, but if we go back to what they already had, we're still losing that angle. We can't see through that. And so I personally would just use the triangles instead, since we're already losing the visibility on that angle. But I think this is a really cool base. If you are a PvP Chad, or you have lots of hours and you want to play an online raid defense base. I don't even remember what I said, deface. This is awesome. You should go check this video out. It's I forgot to write down the name of the guy who made it, but it's called the Rat's Keep. I'll type that into the chat. The Rat's Keep. And then the builder sanctuary code is YBPVCK9L. Definitely go check this out. Go check out the person who designed this base on YouTube. It's a really cool base, and yeah, this was fun reviewing the base, and there's some aspects of this base that I really want to incorporate in my next design. And so that's it for today's episode. If you're watching this on YouTube, thank you for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day. And if you're watching on Twitch, we're just going to keep going. So see you around.